Now, you've got a bit of a storied history in Vainglory, but honestly, I think it's fair to say you are one of the biggest Vainglory personalities on Twitter specifically.
Twitter, yeah, absolutely. Huge following. I mean, you know, at Lang.
At Lang.
Yeah.
2 N's, 9 G's, I think it is.
There's a lot of G's.
There's too many G's, if anything.
Used to have another following as well, but notorious for being one of the bigger trolls in the Vainglory community, I think it's fair to say. But that's what people like about Starboy. That's why one of the things that brings people to Starboy streams.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Twitch.tv/Starboy.
Yep.
I mean, what actually happened when you originally? Because for any guys at home that don't know, Starboy was pretty big on Twitter and then managed to get himself banned. What actually happened there?
I don't think they liked my Twitter handle was Vainglory Game. Some people got it mixed up with the Vainglory Game, but it
That's
happened.
really surprising. I don't know how anyone could get confused there. We're also going to be joined by Lost Boy Top here on the show. Welcome to the studio, my friend. Obviously, you are one of the most renowned players for longevity in the scene, but also your 1v3 plays. Are you going to be able to bring out that solo play here on the stage?
I'm hoping so. Like, it hasn't really happened in a while, but like I'm definitely trying to pull something out of my sleeve, hopefully.
Is there some kind of magic that has to happen? How do you pull out plays like that,
It just has to, I don't know, everything has to just be perfect, and I just have to be there at the right time. It just has to be a perfect moment for me.
It's just all in the moment. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, we're also going to be joined by Xenotech, stepping out of the graveyard, stepping away from the stream to join us here in the studio. Are you excited to bring some of that professional experience to the stage and hopefully draft a superstar squad?
I'm absolutely feeling ghoulish right now. I'm hoping to bring the dub in for the Ghoul Nation. There's a lot of great talent here in this draft, and I'm just so stoked. I'm going to bring in the dub.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be able to happen.
And one of the things with Xenotech, and in a lot of the previous teams, you know, we've talked about how is Xenotech going to mesh with the team that he's going into. Well, now he gets to create that team. So, you know, kind of going to be a little bit of a different side of the coin this time.
Dude, it's going to be spicy. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to throw some spicy players together and see what happens.
All right, we'll have to see if it's going to work out. Obviously, all 4 of these guys are going to be against each other. But last but not least, we have Old School coming on in. Now, for any of you guys who've been living under a rock, Old School, long-time professional player, currently on Tribe Gaming with a ton of professional tournament experience. Old School, do you think that's going to be able to help you throughout this tournament?
I think my competitive experience is going to be a huge factor for this tournament.
Okay, what is that experience going to bring? Because obviously some of these players are going to be kind of solo queue style players. We're not going to have that same level of preparation as you would for a professional tournament. What does that bring to the table for you?
I think mainly the shot calling is going to be really there because as someone with a lot of competitive experience, if I have like other top players on my team, they're going to be able to like easily mix in, and it's not going to take a lot of preparation for it to like work out.
So you're not worried about the fact that this is going to be the first time in like a year and a half that you're going to be playing in a competitive event without Gabe Vizzle or I Love Joseph on the team with you. Is there any sort of concerns about that? You guys have been together for so long, and they're not even part of this pool today that you can draft from.
I think it'll be okay.
Short and sweet. That's what I like to see there. But we can take a look over at our draft board as well. So Karina is going to be our co-host here, taking us through the draft. Do you want to talk us through what's going on over on your side of the set?
Yeah, so basically I'm just going to do whatever they tell me to do as far as the players go. They'll choose their gamer. Is that what you say, gamer? And I will put it under their name, and that's it.
All right, so we'll be moving the names up as they get picked. I mean, speaking of the gamers, we've got to see what our pool is going to look like. We have 24 players that are going to be selectable here. You can see them on your screen now. They are ranked based on ELO and competitive experience. I did the rankings, so if you have any issues with them, tweet at me and just flame me online. But, I mean, when we look at this list, it's, you know, there's a lot of players, especially in that top 10, that really stand out from the crowd, a lot of professional experience. I mean, you guys here, who are the guys that are really going to jump out? I mean, Old School, you've got some teammates on this list.
Yeah.
Are you leaning towards those guys?
Yeah, for sure, but I think they're actually going to be taken away.
Yeah. I mean, that would not surprise me. Like, do you guys have any strategies coming into this draft? Are there some players further down the list that you're maybe eyeing up and people maybe don't know about?
Honestly, there's just so many good players. I think it's going to be easier to just eliminate the bad players from the start. Just, for example, take off Chuck right off the bat, and from there you can work with the rest of the player pool.
Okay.
Oh, man.
No, you're going to Chuck, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, personally, I feel like Chuck is a relatively decent player. I mean, he's got a 90% win rate in solo queue, just throwing it out there. But you guys seem completely unimpressed by that. I was like mind blown when I saw that.
That's true. That's true.
All right, well, let's take a look at what is on the line for these guys. $2,000 is going to be the prize pool this weekend. There's going to be $2,000 each weekend of the tournament. But most importantly, it is winner takes all.
Yeah, only one of the teams will be able to gain that money and walk away with a little bit of extra padding in their pocket. As we alluded to earlier, there are going to be some giveaways going on as well in the Twitch chat and on Twitter, so make sure that you are staying active all weekend long.
And these are happening per week as well. We have 25,000 ice that's going to be given away, 10,000 today, 15,000 tomorrow. We've got a whole bunch of gift cards going to be coming at you, as well as a whole bunch of Vainglory swag. We've got t-shirts, plushies, and stickers that are going to be coming your way. So I'm excited to see who's going to be our winners. That's all going to be happening in the Twitch chat, so make sure that you're checking out the Twitch chat for those giveaways and you're keeping your eyes peeled. But we're getting close to our draft, gentlemen. Are we excited? Are we ready to jump on into this one? I mean, you guys, you may be friends in real life, but you're opponents for the weekend. Are you ready to bring your A game here?
Dude, I'm ecstatic.
I'm ready to bring everyone down.
Okay.
Just so flamboyant right now.
Okay, excellent. So, pure excitement coming from the desk. We're going to be jumping into the draft just after this break. Make sure you stick with us, but first, a quick word from Razor. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about ready to kick off our draft here for the VPL Fantasy All-Stars. And it is all going to be kicking off over the course of the next hour or so. We'll have our teams locked in, and we'll see which these guys are going to be picking up. We're going to be starting off with you, Starball. You are officially on the clock. Start me off right. Where do your eyes immediately go on this list?
Oh, man. Honestly, right off the bat, the right side is looking pretty good, 17 through 24. Not super familiar with some of the other players, but like I said, it's just there's so many good players to choose from that I think we're going to have to just start off by mentally just getting rid of the bad players in my mind. Again, I'm kind of unfamiliar with some of these, though. Munch, can you help me out a little bit, dude?
I mean, which players in specific? I mean, there's definitely a couple towards the left.
Yeah.
I mean, starting all over, you may have heard of him. He happened to win the VPL Summer Open. Probably the best mid that there is in Vainglory. Yeah, no, ring any bells? Okay. There's also Chuck. You actually mentioned Chuck yourself, so I'm struggling to believe you don't know who he is.
Yeah, no, we're just going to pass right on over that one.
Okay, straight veto on Chuck. Okay, I'm with you.
Now, one of the things that has to go into deciding this first pick, though, is the fact that, you know, you are going to be figuring out the positions that all these players are going to play in. So you have to also decide what position you want to play as the captain of your team. Not necessarily the captain, you know, in role, but you have to figure out what position you're going to play and then build around that. So let's say, you know, starting all over, Chuck, both very well-known mid laners. If one of these guys wants to play mid themselves, maybe that's a pick that they do pass over.
I mean, if it was me drafting and I have starting all over, I would put myself in a different role so that starting can carry me to victory. That's where I stand on that one. But I do believe we have some guys getting involved online on Twitter. We have the hashtag VPL. You guys at home can get involved in the conversation. You can see the conversation is already kicking off online. Welcome back, Starboy, to the scene. Essentially, is the gist of the conversation, because you've been gone a little while. It's good to see your face around these parts once again.
Yeah, man, I'm back. You know, the grind never stops. I've been practicing 24/7, hardly getting any sleep. It's just when it gets down to it, it's just there's a lot of pressure despite my preparations. It's just you have to also consider players' mentality too, you know, man, because some of these players, they might be really good, but they might tilt each other. Like if I have starting and truth on the same team, that's not going to go well.
I mean, it went pretty well for them in the summer open, I have to say. Let's talk a little bit about the roles that we have here as well. Do you guys have any preference on which roles you're going to be going on for first? Because, I mean, Baker mentioned if you're a mid laner, you don't want a mid laner, but is there a role that you think is the most important in Vainglory that you've got to get locked down here?
Probably the support is what I'm guessing, which is honestly, that's why I'm more drawn to Marista Beast. He's really good on support heroes, but he plays them in lanes, so it's kind of a best of both worlds. So I don't know, man. Munch, who do you think I should go for? Starting, Maurice?
I mean,
At this point, it's one or the other, man.
Starting on Maurice? I mean, Maurice is a beast, but I have to say starting all over is the most recent winner in Vainglory in terms of competitive play.
Okay.
Is, but so is Truth of Light. Truth of Light is, and so is Delphi. Those are three players that could all be a first pick worthy.
Very true. Delphi got MVP during the summer open.
Having the first pick, like, what is that? Does that you feel gives you an advantage to the rest of you? Are you jealous of having that first pick, or are you still going to be comfortable with, you know, what gets passed down to you when it gets to you?
I don't know. I whatever he chooses, I feel like there's still a lot of good open picks that I could probably play comfortable with.
I mean, speaking of those picks, they are on your screen right now. As you can see, the top sort of 8 players are on the left of the screen. My opinion, I think they are probably the priority picks. These guys seem to disagree with me for some reason, but we are starting to run out of time here, Starboy. So, first pick, you're under a minute now. Where are you leaning with this one?
It's just a lot of pressure, man. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go for it. We're going to go with starting all over. Surprise pick, but you know what? I want to see what he can put out there.
All right, so going for the rank 1 player. That's a very surprising pick to me. I mean,
just had to switch it up, honestly.
Yeah, I could have just done that.
Good choice. You did well under the pressure.
Yeah, so starting all over, going to be stepping on in as the very first lock-in.
A lot of pressure now for starting all over, knowing that he's the first pick. That he's going to have to perform up to #1 draft pick standards.
I mean, he was tweeting that he's going to be the #1 pick. What are your gentlemen's thoughts here on this first pick? Were you guys essentially going to go for starting all over? Like, where are you leaning now?
I'm absolutely floored. That was like my favorite pick ever in the world, and can't handle this pressure anymore.
Okay, so he's going to take really feeling the pressure. All right, well.
So were you guys all expecting starting all over to be the first pick, or were one of you maybe thinking he could go somewhere else and you might get the starting all over pick?
I was expecting like at least one of us was going to choose like one of the top 4 players, but like I don't know. I think starting is a great player, but I feel like he could be a little trolly sometimes, or just like
I think that's fair. Yeah.
a little salty and. You know,
tiltable,
yeah,
maybe? Yeah, just a little bit
sometimes.
I mean, when I was talking to Langs, like he was all about the final phase. I can't believe it.
That's why I said I had to switch it up on him, man. Final phase.
That rank 24.
Phased out.
All right, Toph, it's time for your pick. You are now officially on the clock. Where are you leaning here with the second pick of the draft?
Probably looking at towards the left side, since that's like all the players that caught my eye and the top players that I feel like are really strong. But yeah, no, there's a lot of still good open picks. My eyes are probably looking at the next 3 or 2 players.
I mean, my immediate question is, how terrible is my ranking here? Like, am I just completely
Yeah, no.
way off the mark? Or
No, I think like all these players have been on like professional organizations and they have the competitive experience, and I believe that they're all really skilled, and yeah, no, I like them as players, and yeah, it's really hard to decide who I want to choose as my first pick. Like,
All right, we'll give you a minute to ponder that one. Let's take a look at the stats though for starting all over. The very first pick of the draft. Now he got the rank 1 coming on into this one. A lot down to how well he performed in the Summer Open.
Yeah, he was definitely the hard carry for his team. Obviously, as you mentioned, Truth of Light was another one of the strong players of it, but starting over was the name. He was the go-to player, and when you needed someone to step up for Nova, it was starting all over that got kind of put into that role.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see the Maline, his most played hero, was absolutely a standout pick for him across the course of the Summer Open. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that coming in here in the Vainglory Fantasy All-Stars. But we'll have to wait and see. A lot of that is going to be down to Starboy, whether he lets him play that mid lane. We'll have to see. Starboy, how vicious are you going to be as a captain here, Starboy? Are you going to allow players to have a say, or are you just going to rule with an iron fist?
I mean, it depends. If I pick up a better player than starting, I might have to sub him out. So we'll see.
Okay, we'll have to see if Startek does get subbed out. You can see starting all over, the only pick to be taken out so far. But we'll have to see where this one's going to move now, as Lost Boy Toff is pondering his pick currently and trying to figure out where to go with this one. Definitely those top few picks are leading the charge right now, but you've got just less than 2 minutes remaining, Toff. How are you feeling on this pick? Where are you leaning towards?
Okay, so I'm looking around like 3 names right now. I'm looking at Chuck, Truth of Light, and Hammy. I'm also thinking about like how I'm gonna like place them in the position, because if I'm gonna be playing a certain role, I want to try to fit them in a role that they fit best in.
Now, are you also taking into account hero pools that are available to these guys? Because one thing that we haven't actually touched on at all is that Vainglory Update 3.8 just dropped the other day. That's what we're going to be playing on this weekend. So, you know, some of these heroes that were signature picks for players have now been nerfed pretty heavily. So does that factor into your decision at all?
A little bit. Yeah, no. I know they could play a certain amount of heroes and pretty much like pretty much all the carries. I just think, I don't know, like the weapon heroes this patch is really...
All right, well, you are starting to run out of time. You've got under a minute, so
okay.
Which way are you leaning here? What's the final pick going to be, my friend?
I think the truth is, I'm going to have to go with Truth of Light.
The truth is the truth.
All right. Final answer?
Yes, final answer.
Lost Boy Toff, Truth of Light.
All right, so that's the second pick locked on in. So Truth of Light, very strong carry. A little bit surprised that you've prioritized him over Chuck. Is there some logic behind that? I'm not to flame Truth or anything like that, but...
Yeah, no, I think Chuck is a great player. We've played numerous times, and I feel like the current role, I'm trying to think that I'm going to be playing probably either mid or captain, and I feel like Chuck has been playing mid a lot recently, so I think I'm going with Truth.
Not only that, but again, 2 Nova teammates just recently won the VPL Summer Open, so makes a little bit of sense for both of them to go off the board right away.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up is going to be Xenotech's pick. So you are now on the clock, Xenotech. Talk to me a little bit here. Where are you looking on this ranking?
All right, we're bouncing all over the place from the right side to the left side, but I think I got to stick with the left side here. Obviously, Chuck is at the top of the list. Hammy's amazing. Di-Fi, it's amazing. PvP Warrior has proven himself as an amazing bottom laner or weapon power carry, and as Toph said, like this patch is dominated by the weapon power. So he might be actually a really amazing pick since Truth of Light is now gone. But, you know, also the ninjas, like...
Yeah, man. Raphael
tell me
Shredder and
about them.
Leonardo.
They're pretty amazing. But
Heroes in a half shell.
Let me hear your thoughts on them.
My thoughts on them. I mean, they managed to get top 8, I believe, in the Summer Open. They did a pretty decent job. They weren't quite. Their team wasn't quite at the top tier of like your Visions and your Tribes and your Novas, but they definitely showed that they had a lot of potential. So I'm actually excited to see what those guys are going to be able to do in this tournament outside of a team setting. But let's revisit the fact that the first 2 picks so far have both been Nova Esports players. And we can take a look at our Razor replay of Nova Esports actually during the Summer Open, managing to take that final against Tribe.
Yeah, and this is maybe a little bittersweet for one of our captains on the table having to see this, but you know, again, they were just such a strong team. They really impressed a lot of people, more so than, I mean, everyone knew that they were a good team, but they were able to show that they were a great team coming into the Summer Open. And again, having 2 of them taken off the board early makes a lot of sense, and it'll be a lot of fun to now see them going against each other, starting all over versus Truth of Light instead of starting all over with Truth of Light.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Truth of Light stats there, 70% win rate in solo queue. And obviously, he has Vox there as his most played in solo queue, but there are very few weapon power carries that haven't played an absolute ton of Vox. When you think about Vox, there's a guy over on the table just there that I've never seen someone play Vox quite as well as Old School does. Do you think that, I mean, I'm going to straight up ask, do you think you're the best Vox player?
I definitely do.
Yeah? What sets you apart from the crowd?
Set me apart. I think it's just the experience on the hero. Like, I've been playing them like ever since it came out back in like 2015, so just have a lot of experience on Vox.
Now, with you being a carry player, did you expect to have starting all over in Truth already taken off the board before you got to your first pick? Or do you mind having them taken off the board because you are a carry? So are you kind of deprioritizing other carry players a little bit?
I think that it's okay to have multiple carries on your team. A lot of the carry players are a little bit flexible because, like, since they're hero pools, like they can like stay the same, like, in whichever role that they find themselves in. So I don't think that having too many carry players on your team is going to be too big of an issue.
All right, you can never have too many carries. I think that is a very carry mentality right there. Let's check back in with Xenotech. You've got less than 2 minutes now on the clock. Have you managed to narrow that list anymore?
I'm just straight sweating right now. Can't decide, and it's absolutely insane in my mind right now. But to really put it into perspective, it's between Chuck, the Hammy, and the final phase. But I don't know. I just can't put a marker. I'm freaking out, man.
I find it kind of interesting that, you know, on these lists, no one's really talking about Max Green too much because captain is a very important role, I feel, in 5v5. And you look at the list and you have Max Green stands out as a captain. You have to go a little bit further down the list before you find any other player that mains the captain role. And so for me personally, like, that's something that I would almost want to grab early on because the difference in the top level captain available versus the next one is much higher than, you know, the top captain. But Xenotech, I got it. You narrowed it down a little bit. I threw a little wrench in there. We're going to have to get a pick, though.
You did. And I just have to take this player away because Old School's a teammate with him. Got to take Chuck.
All right.
All right, Xenotech's taking Chuck as his first pick.
All right, so best Chuck NA taken off of the board, and Old School is going to be weeping off on the side there on the back of that one. I mean, Old School, was that immediately your first pick taken now?
Probably, but I don't think it's much of a surprise, to be honest. Like, I didn't really expect to have like the first 3 picks like being able to be chosen because I am the last pick, so it's kind of understandable.
Yeah. I mean, this is, obviously, this is a snake draft as well. So Old School now, you will be jumping on into the timer. You'll be up next. But Old School is going to get 2 picks back to back, and then we'll move back along the table. So everyone gets the fair. If you've ever played fantasy football, you'll understand the kind of way that this rocks on through. It's called a snake draft. But yeah, so Old School is going to be up next. He's now on the timer. What are your immediate thoughts here? Where are you looking towards?
I'm actually looking towards the left side along with the middle because I do see a lot of the players on Vision Gaming that are currently teammates. So I'm probably going to be thinking of picking up 2 people that are actually on the same team already.
All right, we'll
Trying
have
to build that synergy early on.
I think that's going to be important in this tournament as well, because let's bear in mind, this is going to be an amalgamation of players. So anyone that's been ex-teammates or anyone that's current teammates, that's going to be a big advantage. Let's take a little bit of a look at some of our statistics, though, for Chuck. He was the most recent pick, and he's definitely a strong contender stepping on into the tournament. Solo queue win rate of 83%. That is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, these guys, a little bit of questioning on it. How much of that is actually solo queue versus
Like
queuing up with friends. But either way, even if you're team queued the whole time, that's still a very impressive win rate.
I mean, you're rolling like tier 7s and 3-man.
All right, so straight flame towards Chuck there. But yeah, we'll see what he's going to play as well. Because interestingly, his most played was Adagio, which is not a pick that when I think of Chuck, I don't immediately think of Adagio. That's not my go-to for Chuck.
Yeah, it kind of felt like more towards the meta. Chuck is this very consistent but somewhat conservative lane player.
Yeah.
And that's why I wasn't surprised that Truth of Light was taken before Chuck by Lost Fight, because in an event like this, you want those big playmakers. You want the flashy plays. You want the guys that are going to stand out. And while Chuck is extremely consistent and will give you that top-level performance every single time, he's not going to be the one that goes out and makes the the 1v2s, the 1v3 sorts of plays.
Yeah, he's kind of the pillar that you would build a team around, not necessarily. I mean, I would say Chuck and Starting All Over are almost opposite styles of mid lane, because Starting All Over is the kind of guy that will go for a solo play. He will look to outplay someone individually, whereas Chuck definitely much more of that laid back, much more, or not laid back, but more conservative style, as you worded it. But let's check in once again here with Old School. How are you feeling about this pick so far? You got about 2 minutes on the clock. What are you leaning towards here?
I'm leaning towards, I think, actually number 4, Hammy.
All right, so can't lock it in just yet, but Hammy definitely above the crowd on this one. Is there any consideration of some of the guys in the middle row? That's kind of the row we've not really talked about much, but we've got guys like Shaded Talent, Neonfire, Gatsby. These guys are all, they've been around the pro scene a little bit, they've been on these big major teams. Are they considerations at this stage, or do you've just got to go for those top 8 first?
I think they definitely are a consideration. I don't think there's too big of a skill gap between the bottom of the left side and towards like the top end of the middle.
And also, again, like Joe mentioned earlier, with the snake draft, you have 2 picks back to back. So obviously you'll get the time to lock in this one, and then you have a few more minutes to kind of figure out what you want to do with your second pick. Knowing that you have those 2 picks back to back, does that kind of influence where your thinking goes with what you want to grab for your team?
Yeah, like I said, I'm leaning towards picking 2 players that are already on the same team, so being able to pick them consecutively is going to make that possible.
All right, as you can see, the players that have been locked in so far were on your screen. It's just the top 3 so far. It's been pretty much as the rankings would suggest. But Old School, you are now under a minute on this first pick. I believe I already know your answer, but what are you going to lock in for this one?
I'm going to lock in Hammy.
All right, Old School's taking Hammy.
All right, so there it is. Hammy locked in as our 4th and final pick of the first round, which means the second round of drafting will begin. Old School going to be kicking that one off once again, as it's going to be snake draft. So now we go through the same players in the reverse order. So Old School, you are on the clock once more. Are we still just sticking to the top players? Because now there's a spanner in the works here a little bit. Max Green is the next player. Phenomenal player in his own right. He is a captain, though. He is a support player. Does that come in as a factor? Would you prioritize a captain, or are you going to continue prioritizing carries?
I have to think about it.
Well, thankfully, you do have a few minutes to think about that. And again, you mentioned that you want to get 2 players on the same team. You could end up looking for someone like PvP Warrior, TiVo, Shaded Talent, or Max Green still gives him 2 players on the same team as they are both tribe players. So either way, the strategy of keeping the team synergies alive is still there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to remind you guys at home as well, we have giveaways going on in the chat across the course of today. There's one going on right now. This one is for one of our Vainglory plushies. I believe it's either a scarf or a minion plushie, depending on how lucky you get. So make sure you get involved in the chat. I want to say exclamation point giveaway. Don't hold me to that. Just take a look at the chat. I'm sure everyone's spamming it right about now. So that's going to be going on. Make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled for that. But we are looking at a very straight, normal draft so far across the course of this one. We've had... Yeah, the plushie giveaway is happening right now in the chat. But let's talk a little bit about these picks, because we've had the top 4 taken off the board already in exactly the right order. Well, Truth or Light got picked before Chuck, but our top 4 have been our first 4 picks.
Yep.
What do you make of that, Bacon?
I mean, I don't think it's too surprising at all. All 4 of those are carries. And so if once one person grabs a carry, you want to make sure you get yourself the carries as well, so that you don't end up with, without having that star player that you're going to be getting onto your team. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, all of them are very confident players as well. Like I said, of those, Chuck is the only one that's not a flashy, doesn't want to be necessarily the one making the plays and securing the game for his team. Obviously, he wants to be.
I think it was to secure the game.
But I mean, like, he doesn't want to be the one diving in and having if the team does start to fall behind. Chuck isn't necessarily the one that's going to be the player that turns it around for the team. He wants to get the team a lead early and keep the lead, whereas the other 3 players I think are all very much willing to go out on a limb and make that risky play when they feel it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to remind you guys as well, our top picks so far have been those first 4. You can see it there on the board. And we'll see whether these guys are going to start to move across the rest of the rows at all, or if I mean, I'm happy with this so far because I made the rankings. So if it just goes in order, then I just look great. So, I mean, guys, where are you thinking next? Are you just going to be sticking to the ranking as it looks, or are we going to be moving into the other rows?
I think we're sleeping on X1P9X because he hasn't even been
Zipnix.
brought up.
Zipnix.
So, yeah,
Zipnix. He's named after a CSGO player. There's a pro CSGO player called Zipnix.
Well, if he's a pro in another game, I mean, right off the bat, I don't know why we're not talking about him more. I don't know if even considering him school, but you should definitely peep that.
I mean,
solid strategy.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and suggest that it might not be the Zipnix.
I mean, you don't know
CSGO.
that.
I don't know that. I'm going out on a limb a little bit, but it feels. I mean, he is a pro gamer, so maybe that is the destiny. I mean, what are your thoughts, old school? Do you reckon Zipnix is the next pick?
Not too sure about that.
All right, well, we'll have to see where he does go with that one, but there's just about a minute left on the clock. Old school, it's about time that we get your pick locked in here. Where are you going with this one?
I think I'm going to go with Shaded Talent.
Shaded Talent, all right, number 10 on the list.
All right, second pick for old school Shaded Talent.
All right, so interesting pick going out there. Obviously, Vision Gaming representative Shaded Talent.
Yeah, taking the captain from Vision Gaming over his own teammate captain. See if that causes some tension, perhaps within Tribe. You know, they've got some other stuff going on. But why Shaded Talent over Max Green?
I think it's mostly because I already picked Hammy, and I know that Hammy and Shaded Talent play together, so why not?
All right, so it's more of just you're confident in your own abilities. You don't need to necessarily have your own teammate. You want to make sure that your other teammates have people that they can synergize well with.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so going to be Shaded Talent locked in, and we'll see if that's going to pay dividends when they get on to Sovereign's Rise. But certainly interesting to see number 10 coming on through. Let's take a look at some of the statistics, though, for Shaded Talent, as he's going to be jumping on into the tournament. Very early pick, 5th pick of the entire draft. And, you know, Shaded Talent actually had an incredibly good performance during the Summer Open. Vision Gaming managing to get top 4. Didn't quite go the whole distance. A lot of people were touting them as the favorites at the time, though.
Yeah, I mean, Shaded Talent was also one of those players that was on TSM during the preseason, and that was where a lot of like this hype around this Vision Gaming squad came from, was from that preseason performance that he was able to put up. But you know, once they split up that team, all of a sudden the performance wasn't quite up to par for what they were expecting. So maybe there is a little bit of, that next level of analysis of, for Old School, going for those teammates, trying to get them back together. Because keep in mind, it was Hamby and Shade Town that were together in that preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Xenotech, you are going to be on the clock once again as we move through our Snake Draft. Now, obviously, yourself being a jungler and you're locked in a mid laner, where are you going next role-wise with this pick?
So for me, like, I can play anything. So I'm looking more to build the best team that synergizes well together. High playmaking potential. Obviously, the top 4 got taken away, so that's a lot of the playmakers, like Sao starting all over, True the Light, Hammy, like they're all really crazy gamers. And so I'm looking for that next playmaker. There's a lot in this pool right now, so I just can't decide between the left side or the right side. The middle's kind of iffy.
I mean, on the right-hand side, there is one player who's fairly well known. Number 17 is Outplayed, but he actually renamed from Louis Vuitton Don. So some of you guys at home might recognize that game. He's been around the scene a little bit. People know Louis Vuitton. So people are kind of mocking the right-hand side of the rankings a little bit, but there is some strong talent in there.
Yeah, I mean, these are still the top players from the pool that signed up. Not everyone got accepted, so there are definitely some players that are going to be surprises. Maybe we talked about this all the time in the Summer Open of these could be the next wave of players. That could be what we have here as well.
Okay, well, we'll see. That's going to be 5 picks locked on in. Obviously, number 10 was taken off the board. Gentlemen, I want to get kind of a group opinion here. Toph, we'll start with you. Where are you looking next for the next few picks? Because obviously we've got Maxmarine and Delphi and PvP Warrior and TiVo still remaining on the far left in that first column. Are you starting to look towards the other roles, though? Are you starting to look towards this middle and left and right-hand column?
I am thinking a little ahead because I kind of sort of have an idea of what I want for my team. But yeah, like there's still like 4 more picks on the left side, and I'm also thinking of choosing from either the middle or left or right side. But yeah, like I'm probably thinking of choosing a player that I've like played with a lot recently, like in ranked, and yeah. Like,
Doesn't want to give
so,
too much
yeah,
away.
not trying to give away stress right
knowing
now.
that someone's picking right now before him.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to give away too much. But one thing I want to know is, obviously, Xenotech just mentioned that he's confident playing any role. How about the rest of you guys? Do you guys have already in your mind what role you're going to be playing? And are you drafting around that, or are you staying flexible as well?
Well, I think you can have a good idea of what you want to play, but based off of how the draft goes, you're not going to get everybody that you want on your roster. So obviously, you do kind of have to be flexible. Ideally, you have the exact number of players that you want. You get to pick them. You get to play the role that you want, but other people are going to take your picks. So you got to be kind of flexible. Given how much time I personally put in practicing for this, I think I'd be comfortable in any role.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be the case. And I'm curious to see, once these teams are fully locked in, what those roles are going to look like for everyone. But we have a minute left on the clock. Xenotech, it's about time we lock in your second pick. What are you leaning towards here?
So, I think all these players are absolutely amazing, but I gotta go with the mechanical genius PvP Warrior.
PvP Warrior, so another Vision player locked in.
All right, second pick for Xenotech, PvP Warrior.
There it is. So our 6th pick of the draft locked in, second for Xenotech. It's going to be PvP Warrior, which means Lost Boy Toph is now on the clock once again. Where are you leaning? I mean, we already asked you just a minute ago what you were leaning towards. You were very hesitant to give us any real answers. Now that you're on the clock and Xenotech can't snipe away your picks, what are you thinking?
all right, well, I'm probably gonna need another carry, so yeah, I just need someone to fill that one other carry role. But yeah, I mean, there's still people on the left and middle column. Munchables, do you think, like, is there, like, any other carries that we should
Why is
know or
everyone
pick?
asking me for my pick?
You have all the
There is an
stats, you have all the
analyst sat
info.
right here next to me. I'm the host. I made the
You
rankings.
did make the
It was based
rankings.
on their tournament performances and on
You
ELO.
did the research, so I'm gonna trust in you to help me out here.
I'm
a
gonna
little
defer
bit.
to Bacon on this one. I'm going to defer to you on this one, Bacon. Who are the carries to be looking out for here?
Let's go,
So
Bacon.
it depends on where you want the carry to come from. If you want it to be in the lane, I think TiVo is the best carry left on the board at the moment. He's has been able to play mid lane for Vision a bit, and I know in some of their other qualifying tournaments they've been playing in, he's actually been filling that carry role a bit for them. But if you want to go for the big playmaker, I think the best playmaker on the table right now is actually Delphi. Coming out of the jungle, I think that's going to be a very strong pick for whoever does get their hands onto that jungler. He's been, I think, underrated for a vast majority of his career. Just recently has kind of started to come into the limelight as being one of the top junglers. But then, obviously, if you're looking for just overall playmaking, Max Green is a great choice too, but obviously not a carry if you're looking for that role. So I would say if you wanted the best carry right now, the TiVo should probably be the pick.
All right, speaking of carries as well, we can take a look at PvP Warriors stats. This guy definitely showed his stuff during the Summer Open on the side of Vision Gaming. Xenotech, is this a guy that you've played with a lot? Is it someone that you've kind of admired from afar in previous tournaments? What was it that led you towards this pick?
I mean, PvP Warrior, I played so much against him and have played a lot with him and just have really, I understand his playstyle quite a bit and he brings a dynamic that's very close to starting all over, Truth Alike. He's very willing to go for the one-person play that changes the whole game, and like that's what I'm looking for.
All right, playing to win, not playing to not lose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, however, one of those situations of that, the familiarity kind of trumping recent performances, because in the Summer Open, I love PvP Warrior. I think he's a great player, but in the Summer Open, these last couple games didn't do that well. Was actually losing lane 1v1 against Catherine and things like that. So it was really, really shaky play. It was not the PvP Warrior that we expected.
Well, you have to remember that it is a new patch, so like a lot of those picks from last patch aren't going to be as viable. Those super hyper tanky characters just aren't around anymore. Like they're still there, but like they get melted in the front line now. So I think that in this meta, PvP Warrior is going to definitely shine a little bit better.
That's one thing I'm wondering about as well with the new meta is some of these solo queue superstar players actually could have a bit of an edge in that, they, especially like Maurice the Beast, plays a lot of solo queue. That's the reason he's at the top of the ladder, right? He's surely going to have been playing a lot more of the patch than maybe some of these other players. I mean, Toph, what are you thinking right now in terms of picks?
Let's see. I know Bacon, he was pointing towards TiVo. Like, I think he's a great player and all. But I think I'm gonna have to, since I have Truth, I know he's buddies with this person, and yeah, I'm gonna.
You're under a minute,
choose-
so if you're heavily leaning on someone, you can lock
Yeah,
that
no,
in.
I think I have my eye on someone, but I'm gonna have to go with Di-Fi. I mean, Delphi.
Lone Delphi.
Delphi, where's Delphi?
I know he's good friends with Truth. So.
We just gotta
Got
find him on the board. There he is.
There you go, second round pick, Delphi.
All right. Correct, that is Delphi. For anyone out of the loop, his name is spelled with a capital I in game because Delphi was taken. So, Starboy, you are now on the clock. But Lost Boy Toph, talk to me about this Delphi pick. Obviously, incredibly strong jungler, was the MVP during the Summer Open. Is it just down to that for the pick, or the fact that Truth and him are teammates?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're both teammates and buddies, and I think Delphi, he can make a lot of good plays in jungle, and I think I need that aggression definitely for this patch if I'm trying to get fed or something. I think I could trust him in helping me out and being aggressive and I don't know, feeding me.
I do want to say, you said I was steering you towards TiVo. That was because you asked for a carry. And I did say that Delphi was probably one of the best jungler available.
He
So
was.
to be fair, I did say that Delphi would be a great pick.
Yeah, we're going to see Delphi's stats on the screen right now. And Tony, I think, is the absolute highlight of this board. Delphi on Tony is just devastating. He did so much work during the Summer Open. Just so difficult to deal with the amount of CC and disruption that Tony offers.
Yeah, and while a lot of the tank items were kind of nerfed, there's a lot less armor and shielding available. A lot of the heroes were changed, but Tony was one that didn't really receive too much attention from the nerf bat this time around. So could definitely be a hero that will be focused on once again for Delphi.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see how Delphi is going to adapt to the patch as well. I mean, the patch is something that we've not really talked about too much. You guys on the desk, I mean, Starboy, you're someone that's kind of coming back into the game for this tournament. Does the fact that this is a brand new patch give you any kind of advantage, do you think?
Hopefully it levels the playing field a little bit. Yeah, honestly, I was going to go with Delphi just because we're like former teammates. I played with Starting on a team briefly as well. It was going to round it out nice, but
Time to ruin it.
I don't honestly know who else jungles on this list, so I don't know. But hopefully, like you said, just because it is a new patch, a lot of people are still getting used to it. So I probably have the same amount of play time on the new patch that a lot of other people do.
All right, so you're feeling confident coming into the new patch. Definitely, I think I agree that it's going to kind of level the playing field just a little bit. We'll have to see how that's going to pan out. I mean, Bacon, they were asking about junglers. Is there anyone that jumps out on this list in terms of jungling? Or because we're starting to thin out on the actual pro players remaining.
Yeah, I would look for, actually Neon Fire is a player that I think really impressed me. He was playing in the lane in the Summer Open, but was very, very impressive. And I know he is one of those more flexible players that can swap into multiple roles. You know, historically, you know, you go way back, Neon Fire was kind of one of those afterthoughts in terms of, you know, who is top players. But with the way that he's been playing recently, he is definitely climbing those ranks quickly.
All right, we'll see if Neon Fire is going to be picked. Right now, so far, he's still stood against the wall waiting for his opportunity to shine. But we'll have to see. I definitely expect him to be one of the high priority picks, though. We'll have to see which player is going to be able to pick him up, though. We are starting to get closer for you now, Starboy. What role are you leaning towards here? Obviously, Delphi got taken off the board. We were mentioning jungle. Is there anyone else that's jumping at you right now?
I wouldn't say there's any names like particularly sticking out. Probably, honestly, just because I honestly don't know who else jungles other than Neon. I know Neon jungles. There's a couple of other people who could jungle. I mean, it's kind of a brain dead role because you could just pick any hero. The rotations in jungle, you clear, you go to lane, you gank, that's it. So you could, if I would have gotten Chuck, I would have put him in jungle. As far as the rest of the players, I don't know who else can do it, but it is kind of more flexible, so I don't think I'm too pressed to find a jungler immediately here.
All right, jungle is too easy. Direct quote from Starboy there. You are into your last minute of picking here, Starboy. What are you thinking right now?
Just because I am not too pressed for the jungle, like I said, I think I'm going to go with Outplayed XD, my boy Louis.
Outplayed XD. All right, second pick for Starboy. Outplayed XD. And
All
we
right.
get another one now.
So Louis Vuitton Dawn or Outplayed is going to be locked on in there, which means, first of all, Starboy, you're going to be back on the clock once again, as it is that snake draft. It's your turn once more. But we now have 2 picks locked in for each of our players. So, gentlemen on the table there, who do you feel is winning this draft so far? Has anyone got a major advantage in your opinions? Old School, we'll start with you.
I'm a little bit hesitant. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous because I know that Starboy still has another pick right now, and then there's also going to be 2 more until I get my double pick. So I think a lot of the major talent is going to be taken away by the time I have my pick.
Are you happy with the 2 that you got?
I definitely am happy with the 2 that I got. And looking at the standings, just like from where they are right now, I do think that they're pretty balanced. I don't think any team has a major advantage just from the initial picks. But moving on to the draft, I'm trying to think about like just who like is going to get taken away and who I'm going to be left with.
So now, if not being able to say yourself, of the other 3 teams that are up there, there's 3 players for each one right now. Which of those 3 would you say is the better? If you had to pick one and you can't pick your own team, which one would you say is currently the best?
I would most likely say Lost Boy Toff's team.
All right, Tough taking the lead.
I
Xenotech,
was
what
a
do you
little
think?
surprised at that one. Curious to see what everyone else. Let's just go down the line and just say, like, Xenotech, not being able to choose your own. Which of those three?
I would say Toph right now because the team synergy between Truth and Delphi is really high.
All right,
Nova score.
Lost Boy.
I'm gonna have to choose myself.
That's literally one of the rules. You can't choose yourself.
Probably Xeno.
Okay, Chuck and PvP Warrior. Starboy, who do you think's winning out the draft so far?
Yeah, no, Truth and Delphi is really good. I wanted Delphi, but nah, those two are definitely the best together so far.
All right, let's take another look at who is still available as we head into the third round of picks here. We can have a glance at our board. We're starting to get through the picks now. There are 8 players taken off the board, only 2 remaining in the top 8, Max Green and TiVo. And let's just take a moment here to appreciate the fact that Max Green actually hasn't been picked up yet. Max Green is an incredibly good player. I'm kind of baffled that we've not had Max Green taken away.
Yeah, I think the only reason for that is just that the captains are not prioritizing the captain role in game. That's really the only reason I could think of for why Max Green wouldn't be taken off the board yet. Although Shaded Talent was picked up, who is also a captain. But again, Old School did have very good reasoning for that, knowing that he wants to get his teammates to have that synergy already established. So it'll be interesting to see when Max Green does get taken off the board. I think it would actually be a very good pick to grab, within the next pick or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to remind you guys as well at home, we have giveaways going on across the course of today, and there is one happening right now in the Twitch chat. Make sure you get involved. There is a $100 gift card available up for grabs. That's going to be given away over the next few minutes. So make sure that you are getting involved and getting into that competition for your chance to win $100. But we're jumping back on into our draft here, and it's going to be Starboy on his 3rd round. And he's starting to run out of time.
For the record, I saw a couple phones come out here. I don't think any of you are eligible to win that gift card. Just for the
I'm
record.
contacting players.
Stay out of that chat. You guys already have prizes that you can win. Well, you guys actually have to compete for your prizes, though. So, Starboy, you're starting to get fairly low on time here, about a minute and a half left. Obviously, we talked about roles a little bit. We talked about how, Delphi was taken away from you there. Is there a player, aside from Neon Fire, that maybe is standing out? Is there anyone on the right, maybe? Like one of these solo queue players could have an advantage on this patch?
No.
All right, then. That's me absolutely told.
No, I've got a good idea. I was messaging somebody. I think I know who I'm going to be able to put together here. I've got a pretty good idea for the rest of the roster, too. I am going to go just to... There's one other play that I might do. I think I could save him for another pick. I don't think they'll get picked up. I'm going to go with Max.
Max Green.
Max
Okay,
Green.
so the captain locked in finally.
All right, Max Green is taken by Starboy.
All right, so 3rd pick for Starboy. They're going to be Max Green, which means Lost Boy Toff, you're once again on the clock. But Starboy, talk to me about this Max Green pick, because you were talking about jungle, we were talking about the different roles and things. We're finally getting these captains locked in. The only other person who's locked in a captain in this draft has been Old School so far. What was the thought process to lock him in?
Well, Max Green is really versatile. I've played with him probably more than anybody else on this list, except for maybe Delphi. He's the player that I've played most recently with, so probably one of the ones that I'm more comfortable with on comms. He's just really good all around. Like, you can put him pretty much anywhere. He's super versatile. Everyone knows this. I'm surprised he wasn't picked until now, but honestly, these 3 players is pretty strong.
All right, well, we do have some stats from Max Green as well on the screen right now. Very, very strong captain player. In solo queue, obviously, his stats are going to be a little bit skewed. He very likely plays carries in solo queue as well. Like you were saying, very versatile player, not someone that can only play that captain role.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, his mechanics are some of the best in the game. is right up there with being able to time his reflex blocks in the crucibles and knowing when to go in with his engagements.
Yeah, we have our Razor Rewind on the screen as well. This was Tribe during the final against Nova, managing to get so close to winning the game. And a lot of that was on the back of Max Green's play. But we'll have to see how he's going to be able to perform across the course of this tournament as well. It was Nova that managed to take the tournament in the end. Sorry, old school, to show clips of
Repeatedly showing these clips.
I feel like I'm stabbing you in the back, but definitely excited to see how Max Green's going to do. Do you feel like since Summer Open, the teams have changed in power levels here? Do you feel like any players have stepped up or stepped down comparatively to then?
I mean, the Nova players aren't even on the same team anymore. So, like, I definitely think that it's been shifted, so, yeah.
All right, so a few players swapping around in priority here. Lost Boy Toff, it's your pick currently. How are you thinking about this list right now? Because we're starting to get low on those high priority picks.
All right, well, hold on. I gotta look at my notes real quick.
I can see this is a well thought out decision.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about it. I kind of expected Starboy would pick Max Green because he is definitely a versatile player. But Tasty, so I'm looking for a support player. Is there anyone that stands out?
I love how you're just like literally enlisting the help to try and get your draft done
I
for
need
you.
a little bit of help here, but like, I kind of have an idea of who I want next, but I just want your opinion on whoever's left on this list. Like, is there anyone as a support or captain? Is there anyone that stands out?
Or captain.
I know it's a little bit harder since they're just like pretty much all the top players are like taken. So
yeah, the
no
two best
pressure.
captains I think were Max Green and Shaded Talent. They're both off the board. If you're specifically looking for a captain, I think Neon Fire or Maurice the Beast might be the way to go here. Again, two players that are both very versatile and can play multiple roles, and that's always important. We talk about it in the when you're in-game draft, you want to get those versatile picks right away as well. So maybe that same mentality could come into the player draft as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In a tournament like this, versatility is going to be key. I want to remind you guys at home, we have giveaways going on across the entirety of this tournament. There's one happening in chat right now for a $100 gift card. This is the Watch and Win Fantasy All-Stars. So make sure that you are checking out the chat throughout this tournament, not just today, not just tomorrow, each and every weekend of the tournament. We're going to have a whole bunch of gift cards to give away. We have 100,000 ice to give away across the course of the VPL Fantasy All-Stars. We also have a whole bunch of Vainglory swag. We've got plushies, t-shirts, and stickers all coming in a Vainglory bag. So make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled for those giveaways because that's going to be what you need to watch out for. But we are under a minute now. Lost Boy Toff, it's about time that we get your pick locked in.
Yeah, so this guy has been bugging me a lot before this whole thing started. But yeah, no, I played with him many times in ranked. And it's probably going to throw a lot of you off, but I'm going to have to go with Deceived One.
Deceived One, okay, number 18.
Deceived One.
That was my pick.
Also great plan.
Third pick for Lost Boy Toff is Deceived One.
All right, so third one locked in. Xenotech, you looked a little bit devastated. You are now on the clock once again, but talk to me about that pick from Toff there.
Yeah, so Deceived One, like nobody really knows him, but he's actually an insanely good support player that none of these players know of. So I didn't expect him to be picked yet. And I was hoping to get that in as my like secret fourth pick, but kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I know you know him
Tough to get
too.
to it.
So that actually like throws a big wrench in the works.
Okay.
Right now.
All right, well, while you ponder that one, Toff, talk to me through this Deceived One pick. Like, what do we know about this player? Like, what is it that makes him stand out as an individual?
He's actually kind of like an old player. I think he kind of took a little break, but recently just came back. Yeah, no, I've been playing with him like on my streams and like all the time. So I think he would be a good fit for playing a captain. Like he's been messaging me a lot. So, And I trust in him. I believe in him. So I'm hoping he doesn't troll me or lag or anything like that. So.
All right, so getting those DMs in, trying to just slide into the
I'm about to
competition.
message him right now.
Yeah.
I got you.
I love that we have like the messages going on the table, people trying to draft their super squads. I love it. Let's have a bit of a reset here and figure out where we are in the draft so far. We've had a whole bunch of picks come on through. We have had 10 picks now, which means we are halfway through our draft. Let's take a look at who is still remaining available. We've had 2 picks coming out of the bottom 8 players, so kind of surprising to see how early they've been picked up. We've got 1 out of the middle column, and then TiVo still available in our top 8. But generally speaking, most of them coming out of the top sector. Old School, talk to me a little bit about who's remaining on the list here, because we've had a lot of the big names taken out. Is there anyone that maybe in this middle row, for example, that is really standing out from the crowd?
I'm thinking actually Gatsby from the middle row as a standout pick. I think Tsuki as well.
Why those 2 picks?
I was
What makes them
expecting
stand
to
out?
start like list off the entire list and just be like, all right, you guys, you just pick these guys. Leave me TiVo. Leave me Neon Fire. You guys go ahead and take everyone else.
Sorry, I just think out of the players left in the middle column, or just like in general, they're probably like on the higher, or like the top players left.
Mm-hmm. How much does competitive experience factor into a tournament like this for you guys? Because now we're starting to get into the realms of your solo queue players and people that have been seen a little bit but don't have a wealth of experience. Once you get to those kind of players, is it more about how you've played with them in solo queue and what you've gleaned from those games, or is it more about how much you've seen them on streams and things like that?
It's a combination, definitely. But competitive experience helps a lot, because even if you have somebody who's really good in ranked, they'll come to a tournament or they'll play online in a tournament and they'll be a totally different player, because nerves are a huge factor, actually.
All right, so we think nerves will be a big factor in this tournament. I'm
Definitely.
curious how, are all 4 of you going to be kind of shot calling here to try and control these players? Like, how much of an issue do you think that's going to be? How, like, synergy and nerves and getting these players to coordinate as a squad?
It's going to be tough. I mean, as long as you know the players, I'm pretty sure most of us know most of these players, at least the players that we've already picked. We know of them and we've played with them before, we've talked with them. So the synergy thing, I mean, obviously you're not going to be up to a pro team level immediately of like 5 hours of practice a day, but no, absolutely. I mean, we should be comfortable with most of the picks that we have.
Now, you talked about the kind of synergy aspect. You know, there's those 3 ninjas on the board. Those guys obviously play together all the time, so they have that synergy already built in. Is that something that anyone's thinking about?
You know why they haven't been picked up? Is because if you pick one, you can't pick all 3. What if somebody else gets one? Then you're stuck with only one of the ninjas.
That's true.
Fair point.
That is very true.
That's the problem.
I mean, you've got to a point where you can't pick all 3 ninjas anymore anyway, so you've only got 2 picks left. Xenotech, though, we are under a minute at this stage, so it's about time that we get that pick locked in. What are you thinking?
All right, so since everybody picked their supports, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I already know who I want for my support role. I'm going to go for my carry role, finish that out with TiVo.
All right, so the last of our top 8.
All right, we got TiVo playing the carry role for Xenotech.
All right, so TiVo going to be locked in. That is that 3rd pick there for Xenotech, which means Old School, you are once again on the clock. It is going to be your pick coming up next. But that will be the last pick of round 3. But Xenotech, talk to me about this TiVo pick. Obviously a player for Vision, very strong player individually. Is there any specific reasons why you've gone for him over the rest of the pool?
So like, I was really debating between Neon Fire and Gatsby and TiVo. I love all 3 of these players. And there's actually a lot of players on the right side that I was debating on as well. Why I picked TiVo here is because he's teammates with PvP. They've played a lot together. They have a lot of synergy. And then I think they'll complement Chuck a lot in the mid lane on those 2 side lanes. And I think they'll be able to bring it home.
All right, so definitely going for that team synergy style build. You can see the player boards right now. We have our entire left column, our top 8 taken off the table, which means this is going to have to start to get a little bit creative with the rest of the picks. The further into this draft we go, the less experience some of these players are going to be having. And then once we get to the very bottom of the rankings, some of these players have no competitive experience whatsoever, but they want to get their foot in the door, and this could be their debut tournament. We could see some miraculous stuff coming on out. But let's talk a little bit about Old School. It is your pick currently, but let's talk about your history a little bit, because Old School, you're one of the absolute veterans for Vainglory, and you came third place at the World Championship in 2017. Winning out the Unified Championship as well back in London. It feels like a long time ago now. It's only 2017 itself. But do you feel like that is something that is really going to be behind you here, especially with guys like Hammy and Shaded Talent, also very experienced? Like, do you feel like you are the most experienced maybe here, or do you feel like there's competition there?
Out of the 4 captains? Yeah, I do think I do have the most competitive experience out of the 4 captains, but a lot of the players that have already been chosen, they have a huge amount of competitive experience as well. So I don't think I'm gonna have too big of an advantage over all the teams as a whole, because I do think there's like a nice mix of like really experienced veterans.
Okay, and that's the thing about this kind of draft, right? Is all of those veterans, all of those super priority picks are going to be spread out across the course of it. I'm curious, what do you guys think of how this has been panning out so far? We've got a few more picks in. Max Green, Deceived One, and TiVo, we're definitely starting to get to the picks where it really depends on your opinions on which direction you go from here. Do we have kind of favorites moving forward? I mean, Starboy, how are you feeling the draft's gone for you so far?
It's pretty good. I think first pick was almost a disadvantage because you have to pass over so many of the top choices. I got starting, which is really good, obviously, but then I have to pass up on so many of the choices, especially my priority choices. But honestly, the team that I have so far and the team that I have in my mind, I think I'm pretty comfortable with, especially Louis and Max. I know that they play together a lot. I played with the two of them. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable on comms with all of them. I think it's actually pretty good that I got people that I know personally, because I didn't think that I would be able to get my preference. As far as the other teams go, again, Truth and Delphi together is really good. I still don't know who Deceived is, but those two. And then Chuck, PvP, and TiVo used to team. Or I'm not sure if they were all on the team at the same time. They were all in TSM. So they already have experience together too. I don't know what school is gonna go for, but Hammy and Shaded have always been good, so we'll see.
All right, so pretty good recap of all the picks. Appreciate that. But yeah, so
Get Starboy sitting over here.
We can trade places. You can finish the roster for me.
I mean, I don't want to lose you the tournament, so I'll stay over here for now. I mean, Xenotech, how are you feeling about how your picks have been going? Obviously, you managed to grab TiVo, you got PvP Warrior and Chuck. There is a lot of synergy there. Are you happy with your picks so far?
Oh, I absolutely love my picks. I do think that Chuck has a different playstyle than myself, but I think Chuck has a lot of shot calling potential. And again, with the other two, their playmaking is just insane. And then to fill out the roster later, it's going to be pretty amazing.
Now, obviously, we heard Starboy talk about the fact that he was going to be, having that synergy. Old School, you're about out of time now. So, are you going to go for that synergy, or where are you thinking about for your pick?
I think I'm gonna go with Neon Fire.
Neon
All right.
Fire.
Neon Fire is taken for your third pick? Yes,
Yes.
third pick.
All right, and that is going to conclude the third round of picks. And